Save more on our huge selection of Nectar, Dream Cloud, Sierra Sleep, and Diamond Mattress. Furniture and Mattress 86, across from the Churn Creek Post Office on Merchant Street, Reading.
From the Weather NorCal Command Center, this is your morning update.
Your weekend weather update is made possible by Caltrans District 2.
Happy Sunday morning to you. I'm Chief Meteorologist Mike Krueger in for Chase Wilson. And, before we get into the forecast, I do want to remind you, we've got a ticket giveaway for the Red Bluff Roundup. So excited about this. I got a pair of tickets for the Friday, April 18th event for you to take you and a loved one or a friend or whatever to the Red Bluff Roundup for free. All you have to do is email your entry to mkrueger@weathernorcal.com. You can also just go to the weathernorcal.com webpage, click on the Contact Us, and you can also email that one as well. I get all of those, all right? The winner will be announced on Coffee with Krueger Wednesday, April 16th, so 2 days before those tickets are given away, and you'll be good to go should you win. So check that out. Should be a lot of fun. All right, so here's your weather headlines. The rain will be mainly west of the valley today. Rest of Northern California gets wet later this evening into tonight. Isolated showers on Monday, few and far between, maybe even a chance for a few isolated thunderstorms. And the temperatures, they're continuing to expect to kind of go up and down here as we take it through next week. All right, more in our deeper dive forecast on all of that in just a bit. Let's get you through your Quickcast here, though, your Krueger's Quickcast. Now, out the door this morning, we may start to see some showers by 8 o'clock for the North Coast. Nothing heavy at this point, but a little wet. Places like Del Norte County, Northern Humboldt. But Southern Humboldt County, I think you'll be dry. The rest of us are dry and not too terribly cold this morning either. All right, so we have the developing storm system right here. You can clearly see it. This is a loop from the last 12 hours or so. You can see it kind of getting stronger. It's gaining strength, and that's what's going to be moving in here later on today for many of us. So this is a quick look at the timing, and I want you to stick around for the deeper dive forecast if you do have outdoor plans, because we're really going to kind of dive deep and taking a look at the timing and some of the discrepancies in some of the timings. Even the short-range forecast models are having a little bit of a difficult time on the timing with this. So let's start with our in-house forecast model, and then we'll go into the deeper dive after all of this, though. But this should just give you a general idea. 8 o'clock this morning through the morning hours, I expect the chances for showers for the North Coast will increase. By midday, most of us are wet for the North Coast with the exception of Southern Humboldt County. Western Siskiyou County, you may start to see some of these showers by around midday, but really it's mainly going to be this area, I think, right here by midday. Now let's take you into the 3 o'clock, 4 or 5 o'clock. So through the afternoon, from midday till 5 o'clock in the afternoon, chances for showers will increase for Trinity County, Central and Western Siskiyou County, and of course, Del Norte Humboldt counties are wet at this point. Sometime this evening into tonight, it's making its way into the valley. We're drying out for the North Coast. Still dry off to the east, but by late tonight, early tomorrow morning, this will all be pushing through the eastern mountains. Hey, you're heading out to the ski park? I think you'll be okay for the first half of the day. Now, I am expecting snow levels to be high, and it most likely will be in the form of rain at the ski park once it does move through, but you should be okay through at least midday, if not even into the early afternoon hours before that rain kicks in for places like the ski park. We do have a beach hazard statement here for today. Just take note of that. A risk of sneaker waves is the bigger concern here. Temperatures today, still mild. Low to mid 70s for the valley, in the 60s for the higher elevations. And again, we'll go over the timing of when that rain begins to move in a little bit more detail in your deeper dive forecast. Here's your 7-day outlook. So you're going to be looking at a slight chance for a few showers, maybe even an isolated thunderstorm for some of us in the valley tomorrow. Few and far between, by the way, folks, so don't cancel those outdoor plans on Monday. And then it's dry through the rest of next week into that next weekend, and temperatures kind of going up and down. For the coast, yeah, still a chance for showers. Maybe even a clipping system on Tuesday, once again Friday of next week, but for the most part, we're not expecting a lot of rainfall after today. Siskiyou, Modoc County, Eastern Mountains, I think Alturas and Susanville, Modoc County, Lass and Plumas counties, you'll be dry even going into tonight. It's late tonight, early tomorrow morning that you start to see showers. A stray shower, scattered, few and far between Monday. Tuesday, you're dry all the way through the end of next week into that next weekend. All right, now we're going to go to the deeper dive forecast here in just a bit, but I want to remind you, you can track the storms from the free Weather NorCal app. This, folks, is going to be the best app that you can have on your phone, because all the other apps you have on your phone, they're generated by AI. This has a lot of influence, the forecast numbers that you see from me, because I input the numbers in one location and it goes everywhere, including the app. This is a hyperlocal app. I think you'll really like it. Check it out. Search for Weather NorCal in your app store. All right, so again, let's take a look at the satellite image. Let's get into that deeper dive forecast, shall we? So again, you can see these clouds that came in last night and early this morning. No rain embedded in those. You can see this right here. This is the developing storm. You see it right here? And it's starting to kind of kick itself off to the east, and we're beginning to see some spin, a little bit more instability, more showers. This right here, this is where the rain is. Behind it is cool and unstable air that are bringing us those chances for showers on Monday as well. All right, so let's take a look at futurecast. Now this, I was talking about how we're going to compare forecast models. This is the HRRR forecast. All right, this updates every hour. So it takes the current conditions, plugs that into the equation, and then takes the latest forecast model data as well. So this is 10 o'clock this morning. You see how it's still dry. It's showing dry conditions even for Del Norte County. I would say sometime around this hour is when we start to see at least Del Norte County seeing some showers. All right, now we're going to take you into noon. You see where most of the rain is? Del Norte, northern Humboldt. But the bulk of the rain still well off to our west here at this point. So everyone's dry. Midday, I think southern Humboldt, most of Humboldt is dry. Western Siskiyou, Trinity, and everyone else is looking at dry conditions, even at noon. Here's 3 o'clock this afternoon. All right, see, now it's starting to kind of push through. Del Norte, Humboldt counties, you are wet. Everyone looks to be wet at this point, including parts of western Siskiyou County. But everyone else still looks dry based on this forecast. So remember, 3 o'clock this afternoon, it's mainly Del Norte and Humboldt counties, this particular forecast model. Now we take it to 5 p.m., central western Siskiyou County beginning to see the rain, western Siskiyou County in particular. All of Trinity County looking at wet conditions here by the late afternoon hours. All right? But look at the valley, look at eastward, look at central eastern Siskiyou County, Modoc, Lassen, Plumas. You're dry still. Okay, now we go into 8 o'clock tonight. We're just beginning to see the north end of the valley seeing some of the showers, but everyone else to the south dry, everyone else to the east dry, but everyone else to the west completely wet. Now we take it about 10 o'clock tonight. Now it's beginning to make its way into the valley, still dry off to the east, and still pretty wet off to the west as well. All right, so again, let's remember that timing that we looked at. And we're seeing some discrepancies in our in-house forecast model and what we were just looking at. So remember, the HRRR had most of this still off to the west, and it was just basically Del Norte County seeing the showers at 8 o'clock in the morning. Let's take you to the noon hour. Now, again, remember the noon hour, it was again, this was not here. It was basically all of really mostly Del Norte County and northern Humboldt County as well, but still dry to the south. So I still anticipate that at least southern Humboldt County will still be dry by midday. And I would say also midday, most likely dry for parts of western Siskiyou County as well. But as we get into the early afternoon hours, it starts to make its way into western Siskiyou County. All right, let's take you through the afternoon. 3 o'clock. Now we're starting to kind of see this fill in. But remember, 3 o'clock, it was just beginning to enter places like Trinity County with the HRRR forecast. This one's a little bit faster with the timing. Bottom line is, this particular forecast model is about an hour or two faster than the model that we were looking at here. So sometime as we go through the afternoon, we start to see western Siskiyou County and Trinity County begin to see some of that rain. By 6 o'clock this afternoon, you see how it's just clipping the north end of the valley. This might be a little fast. Maybe it's going to be more like 7, 8 o'clock before we start seeing those showers kicking in. In fact, you can see 8 o'clock tonight. You see how it's kind of kicking in. But remember, the HRRR was holding off until about 10 o'clock tonight. But sometime this evening and tonight, the valley is seeing that rain push through, but still dry off to the east. And you'll notice by 8 o'clock, this model wants to start to dry things out here for the coast. Here's that main line. Now it's pushing eastward. Still, even 11 o'clock tonight, we're still seeing those showers for the valley, making their way eastward, but really still not that wet off to the east around midnight. So sometime after midnight into the early morning hours is pushing through the eastern mountains in Modoc County. Everyone else starting to dry out into the early morning hours. All right, so here's Monday morning, 6 a.m. Look what's happening as we go through the day on Monday. You see how we're seeing just some isolated showers here and there. We can't rule out an isolated thunderstorm as we take you through tomorrow afternoon. And then as we go into Tuesday, this is Monday night into Tuesday morning, we're starting to dry things out. And we should stay dry for your Tuesday. However, you'll notice this clipping system. It may just clip the north end of, say, parts of Del Norte County through the day on Tuesday. But don't count on that to be much. All right, so how much rain can we expect out of this? Well, I would say most likely over an inch, somewhere between 1 and 2 inches for the coast. Maybe even close to that for parts of the inland areas as well. I would say on average, and I was talking about this even on Friday, about 1/4 inch, give or take, depending on where you are in the valley, and probably less than that. You start heading off to the east. Forecast snow. Someone's asking, what are the snow levels? Nobody's talking about the snow levels. Well, here's a sign that you know that they're going to be above 5,000 to 6,000 feet, is when we don't talk about it. That's the bottom line. If no one's talking about it, that means it's not on our radar. We're not really thinking about it. We're not concerned about it, and neither should you. All right, so that's kind of that first sign. So I just wanted to show you that just for fun. These are some of the highest mountain peaks that we're looking at. These are the mountain peaks that are above 5,000 feet. So Mount Shasta Ski Park, probably looking at it in the form of rain here for today. So you don't have to really worry about travel concerns here with this as far as chain requirements are concerned. So here you go. Here's that roller coaster ride I was talking about. That warmer air shifts to the south as this cooler air today and tomorrow rides to our north. That moves out. High pressure builds back in through the middle of next week. That pushes to the east by the end of next week, and some cooler air begins to work its way closer to us by the end of next week, and temperatures go back down again. And you can see a couple of systems. And then as we go into Monday of next week, then of course we're looking at those warmer conditions working their way back into the forecast. We take a look at the 10-day trend for Redding. You see that trend dropping, going up, a slight dip on Saturday, and then back up for Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Hey, let's take a look at those lake levels, and look at this. Now we're up to 92% capacity. Lake Oroville has now reached that 90% capacity threshold here, and there you can see out towards Trinity Lake, 87%. So yeah, these are still looking very healthy, and with more rain going to be put into those lakes here. We take a look at those wave heights for today. They're going to be fairly high, and on Monday, we're really not going to see them retreat a whole lot. So as a result, the winds later this afternoon they'll start to kind of pick up through the day. They'll be from the south at 15 to 20 knots. There is a small craft advisory here for today, so just keep that in mind if you have to be on that small boat. Beach hazard statement, also as a result of all of this. This is going to be through this evening until 11 o'clock. The risk of sneaker waves is something we've got to be concerned about here and talk about. So here's your Trinity County neighborhood forecast. Temperatures in the mid to upper 60s. We looked at the timing. I'm not going to talk a whole lot about the timing here when we're looking at this forecast. We're just going to take a look at your highs and what you can expect for the rest of the week. For the coast, chance for a shower Tuesday and on Friday. And that's especially out towards the north. Otherwise, the rest of us, I think, will be dry through the rest of next week. All right, so let's take a look at Siskiyou County for today. Yeah, we got the clouds moving in. They'll be increasing through the morning and afternoon, but still pretty mild out there. You can't complain too much about those temperatures just yet. 68 degrees out towards El Turris, 64 for Aden, and 67 degrees out towards Tule Lake. Eastern Mountains, you're dry all day. It's not until late tonight, early tomorrow morning, you're seeing the showers. So yeah, not bad. We'll probably start to see some clouds on the increase through the afternoon and evening, but that's probably about it. Now for the valley, to the south, I think you're dry all day today as well. It's not until this evening tonight that you start to see some of those showers. Let's take a look at your 7-day forecast for Chico. See, I don't have any raindrops for you today. It's not until tomorrow that you may see an isolated shower and a stray off chance for a thunderstorm. We're dry for the rest of the week and even going into next weekend. All right, let's take you up to the north. 73 degrees for Redding, Bella Vista. So again, we're dry through most of the day. You got outdoor plans today in the valley, I think you'll be dry. It's not until late afternoon, probably closer to the evening hours, that we start to see that rain begin to kick in. All right, so let's take a look at your 7-day forecast for Redding. I've got you at partly to mostly cloudy skies. I don't have any raindrops for you on today. Why? Because again, we're going to wait until we're getting closer to sunset before you start seeing those showers. Then on Monday, tomorrow, just these off and on scattered, few and far between showers, maybe an isolated thunderstorm, including the valley. And then we're dry for Tuesday through this upcoming next weekend. And see how the temperatures kind of go up? They go down Monday, Tuesday, back up. Maybe a slight dip on Saturday, but then going back up again after that. That's your morning update. I'll be back again at noon with the latest forecast. Have a great morning.
Save more on Parker House, Ashley, and Coaster. Furniture and Mattress 86, across from the Churn Creek Post Office on Merchant Street, Reading.